Welcome back everybody to my channel. This is part 2 of Alcoholic Living. If you missed part 1, don't worry about it. Just go check it out because I think it's pretty interesting. I was talking about ways that people adapt to living with alcohol use, how they develop coping mechanisms for all the negative consequences from drinking. Now, in this one, I am gone. Talk about some of the things that alcoholics do and some of the things that alcoholics might use to kind of help them cope with their drinking. Alright, so let's talk about this vitamin C liver protection. Okay, so this is something that people will do when they're drinking heavily and often where they'll take high doses of vitamin C in an attempt to protect their liver or reduce the damage that they've done to their liver. So, why the liver? Well, we know that the liver metabolizes or breaks down alcohol, and so, if you want to continue drinking heavily, you're going to need a healthy liver to do that, right? You're going to need your liver to be able to keep up with the amount of alcohol that you're consuming. Now, heavy drinkers can cause damage to their liver very quickly, and sustained heavy drinking will eventually lead to cirrhosis. Okay, so that's kind of what they're trying to avoid or prevent with this vitamin C. The idea being that by taking a lot of vitamin C, they won't get as sick from the alcohol, or they won't get a hangover from the alcohol, or that they will reduce the damage that the alcohol is doing to their body. Now, there is some truth to this. Vitamin C is good for your liver, and it can actually help reduce fatty liver disease. There's been a lot of studies showing that, however, the research is very unclear on whether taking vitamin C after drinking alcohol helps reduce the damage to your liver from that alcohol. So I've looked all over the place, and I could not find any randomized controlled trials on this. There's just no good quality research on whether taking vitamin C helps reduce the negative effects of alcohol. But I did find one study, okay? And it's not a randomized controlled trial, but it's a good study. And this study found that people who had higher levels of vitamin C in their blood had less severe alcoholic liver disease. So that's kind of like a real-life natural experiment that was done, and the results were that, hey, people who have more vitamin C tend to have less problems with their liver. But we can't say that taking vitamin C helped them, right? We can't say that taking vitamin C caused that. It may have reduced their risk, but we don't know. And so most of the research we look at, including this one study that I found, suggests that you should really get your vitamin C from your diet, eat foods that are rich in vitamin C, and then only supplement with vitamin C if you have a true vitamin C deficiency. But there's nothing wrong with eating foods that are high in vitamin C. And I would argue that those foods are probably better for you than just taking the supplement itself. Number 2, vitamin B1 memory protection. Now, this is something that people who drink a lot will often do. They'll take high doses of thiamine, which is vitamin B1, in an attempt to protect their memory while they're drinking, because we know that heavy drinking damages your memory and it can cause blackouts. Blackout is when you basically drink so much alcohol that you can't remember anything that happened, and it's called a blackout because you blacked out. You weren't there. Your brain wasn't working. Alcohol shuts down a lot of brain functions, and one of those is your ability to make memories. And people will often take these really high doses of B1 to try to prevent blackouts, or to try to prevent the alcohol from damaging their memory. Now, it turns out that this can work. If you have a true thiamine deficiency, which alcoholics often do, giving them thiamine can improve their memory. Now, thiamine is actually the first step in several important brain processes, and it helps your brain turn food into energy. So if you don't have enough thiamine, your brain cells can't get energy, and that can lead to brain damage. In fact, alcoholics who are thiamine deficient are at risk for something called Wernicke encephalopathy. That's a pretty serious brain disorder that causes a lot of neurological problems, including problems with your eyes. Now, taking thiamine can help prevent that, But that's in people who are thiamine deficient, and that's the case for most people who drink heavily. Now, in the case of thiamine, I think it is fine to take a supplement, because it is very hard to get thiamine from your food. It's very hard to get enough thiamine from your food, and so a lot of people, especially alcoholics, are actually deficient in thiamine. But the research is fairly clear that if you don't have a thiamine deficiency, taking more thiamine won't help prevent blackouts, and it won't help protect your memory. Number 3. Stable consumption level. Now, this is a very interesting one. This is something that people do where they're drinking and they're retrying to maintain a steady level of intoxication. Now, why would they want to do that? Well, alcohol affects our emotions. It affects our mood. It makes us feel good. And so, if you're drinking and you're having fun and you're feeling good, you want to maintain that state. You don't want to come down. You don't want to sober up. And so a lot of people will try to maintain a stable level of intoxication. People who are doing this will drink very steadily. They won't take breaks. They'll just keep drinking, and they'll keep drinking the same amount. They'll pour the same amount in their glass. They'll drink the same amount every 10 minutes or every 15 minutes, and they'll try to maintain that level of intoxication throughout the night. And there's some truth to this because alcohol is eliminated at a fairly constant rate. And so if you drink at a constant rate, you'll maintain a pretty constant level of intoxication. But there's no real benefit to maintaining a constant level of intoxication. But there's definitely downsides to it. And when you're drinking a lot of alcohol, you're increasing your risk for all sorts of problems, including alcohol poisoning and death. In fact, the only real danger of alcohol poisoning happens when people are drinking heavily and they become intoxicated and then they pass out and then they stop breathing. And so, if you're maintaining a steady level of intoxication, you're at risk for that. Now, I don't want to give the impression that you should drink heavily. Obviously, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, if you're going to drink heavily, you might as well learn how to do it safely. And one way to do that is to learn how to pour a proper drink. Which leads me to my next point. Number 4. Antiemetic protection against choking on vomit. Now, a lot of people who drink heavily, they get sick. A lot of people who drink heavily will vomit. And if you're vomiting, you're at risk for choking on your own vomit. And so one thing that people will do is they'll take antiemetics. Okay, they'll take medications that reduce nausea and vomiting to reduce the chances that they'll choke on their own vomit. And that's actually a good idea. If you're drinking heavily and you're getting sick, you're at risk for choking on your own vomit. But it's really important that you don't choke on your own vomit. So if you choke on your own vomit, you can die. It can be fatal. It's called aspiration. Now, there's 2 ways that this happens. One is that you drink a lot, and then you get really drunk, and you throw up, and you fall over, and you choke on your own vomit. And that's when a lot of deaths happen. That's when a lot of people die from alcohol poisoning. And so if you're going to do this, if you're going to binge drink it, it's a good idea to have something to reduce your nausea and vomiting, because you can choke on your own vomit and you can die. So that's it, folks. That's 4 ways that people deal with drinking too much alcohol. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Thank you so much for watching and stay tuned for more content.